Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. This video, we are looking at the NBA slate for Monday. We have 8 games starting at 7:30, so let's get started. As always, appreciate if you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want the updates, you can check out the Twitter. It's at the DFS Process. Check out website. It's dfsprocess.net if you want to join. And let's get started without any further ado. So looking at the point guard options, it starts with De'Aaron Fox is 9,100. I already have a lot of news on the slate with Giannis being doubtful. And then we have LaMelo Ball. Unfortunately, looks like he'll miss the rest of the season with a fractured wrist. Then we have a bunch of other players that are questionable, but the Giannis news is the biggest one on the slate, obviously. But point guard, the most expensive guy is De'Aaron Fox on a slate where there's only one guy above 10,000. Actually, there's no guys above 10,000, assuming Giannis is out. You have a strong 9K range. You have a decent 8K range, but there's not a true spend up with nobody being above 10,000. So it's a good spot to go a bit balanced. Fox 91 against Cleveland. This is a final game, I think, of a 6-game roadie for the Kings. They showed some tired legs against Philly. They got at least a day off. That was a back-to-back Boston Philly. It's a good spot against Cleveland. Obviously, they probably want to get home, get out of this road trip. Don't mind Fox at 9,100. He can do a little bit better, I think. Trae Young is probable if he plays. He looks fine. Not a great matchup against the Clippers, but Young goes off whenever, you can't really predict when he's going off this season. He was great against them earlier this season. He's been struggling recently, but he's still going to shoot a bunch. He still gets them in. His price tag is still reasonable. It's taken a huge dip from 10,299 down to 8,800. It's just a spot where on an 8-game slate with the Q tag next to his name, so will probably be low owned. I don't mind taking a shot with Trae Young. And then Donovan Mitchell, 87. I don't want to pay that much. SGA is 83 against Minnesota. It's a great price tag. He sat out last game, shoulder soreness. If he's out again, then you can look to a couple of pieces because that is a great spot for the Thunder. Then don't expect Oladipo to play. He's never been playing on back-to-back, so that's going to make John Wall look appealing. John Wall sitting at only $7,100. He looks to be one of the better plays in that range. Assuming he plays and assuming Oladipo sits like they have been doing all season, John Wall 71 is just too cheap. The matchup against Toronto is not the best one. They have been playing better overall, but it's just a spot where John Wall should get 30+% usage, probably close to 35%. Should get good minutes tonight. He's been, getting a big uptick whenever Oladipo is off the court. He's probably going to play alongside Kevin Porter, who does take a lot of usage, so it's not like a huge bump compared to Oladipo, but I still expect John Wall to really pay off a $7,100 price tag. That is really cheap considering it was like in the 8K range for. He sat out a bunch of games, but around 8K, 8,300, and now we're getting him at 71 without Oladipo. And other guys that look appealing here at point guard, you have a pretty good price tag on John Moran. He's been struggling recently, but 73 is probably worth it in some tournaments to at least have a sprinkle of him. Colin Sexton looks good at $7,100. He also gives you pretty big ceiling. It's the best spot they could ask for. He plays absolutely huge minutes, so I think you can roll with Sexton if you wanted to. I like him more than Garland. He's $500 cheaper. And then you have Drew Holiday, who's going to be a guy you want to lock in tonight without Giannis. You have Kevin Porter at 65 if he starts alongside John Wall. He's a reasonable play. And then I'm not really looking at DiVincenzo. I'd rather go to Holiday. I'd rather go to Middleton, and then I look to some cheaper plays like a Bobby Portis or a Brook Lopez. And the Spurs probably going to be getting Murray and Mills back, so Derek White's not the most great play. And then Halliburton is 55. They said he's been on a limit, but he's still been playing over 30 minutes. He looks reasonable at that price tag. I do like Marcus Smart at 5,600 just because you should not see Kemba today. They already said he's going to rest on the second half of back-to-back. He's been doing that all season. So without Kemba, Marcus Smart will start and get more assist opportunities. But we've seen him be able to put up some big scores whenever he's kind of gotten the point guard minutes. So I don't mind Marcus Smart. And then for value, it's just going to be dependent on some injuries. So right now, I don't see anybody besides Devontae Graham, who's only $4,800. He should jump into the starting lineup with LaMelo Ball. Unfortunately, going to miss probably the rest of the season. 4,800, his price tag is going to quickly rise to above 6,500. So you better jump on him while you can. Moving on, shooting guard, it's Mitchell, Zach LaVine at the top. I think I look to a couple of better pieces. I like I love Chris Middleton. He's going to be the guy that you want to play at 76. Him and Holiday are the two guys I will start my lineup with. And then you have Edwards at 7,200. He also looks great. 72 against OKC. It's a good spot for them. So the 7K range is loaded. That's where I want to spend a lot of my time here. It's going to be Middleton, Edwards, Sexton. Those three all look great. 6K range, you have Drew Holiday, who's going to be just looking great without Giannis. He will get the ball in his hands a lot more. Giannis has been getting a ton of triple doubles. He's been getting a lot of assists. He had like 15 assists last game. So a lot of that's going to go back to Drew Holiday. It's going to go to some of that's going to go to Chris Middleton. But expect Holiday to kind of put up big scores tonight like he was last season with the Pelicans. And then you have Kevin Porter. You have LeVert at 64. And then if you wanted to go cheap here, it's definitely Devontae Graham at only $4,800. And that's mainly it. Like 7K range is super strong and 6K range, so that's where I want to spend. Moving on, small forward, it's Kawhi Leonard is sub 9,000 against the Hawks. Tremendous spot for him. It's been tough to pick between him and Paul George all season. It seems like one of them has a good game, the other one kind of disappoints. This is one of those spots where they both could have a good game. But I'm probably looking at the price tag. I still like Paul George at 82 a little bit more than Kawhi. DeRozan at 85, he's been doing great things for the Spurs all season, getting a ton of assists, getting a ton of he's been getting a lot more rebounds than he was last couple of seasons, and he's been scoring at a really high clip. So super efficient player. Don't mind him at 85, but tough to lock him in when you have Jaylen Brown at 7,900. The way he's been playing without Kemba tonight, he's been absolutely balling right now. He made 10 threes against Orlando last night, and hopefully stays hot tonight against Memphis. He put up 58 against them earlier on a really on a 15 of 21 shooting, 7 of 10 from 3. Even if you take a couple of those off, he still would have put up well over 50. Love the spot for him against Memphis. The way he's been playing without Kemba, it's just a spot where Jaylen Brown is a little bit too cheap. He's been outperforming Tatum, and he's $700 cheaper, so I'd rather go to Brown. And then Chris Middleton, obviously you're going to want to play him and Drew Holiday today. There also are other pivots if you wanted to make some changes or make some, because both of these guys are going to be super popular. It's going to be different in tournaments. If you look at Gordon Hayward, he should get a lot more usage without LaMelo. You have Anthony Edwards, 7,200. He will continue to just shoot a bunch. So those guys are pivots, but the main guys are definitely Middleton and Holiday for cash at least. And then you have price tags are increasing on Nance, so I'm not that interested now that Capella's back. I don't really want to play Gallo. It's against his former team, so you could look to the revenge scenario for him, but I don't want to pay that much for Gallo. And then depending on like SGA news, maybe you could look to Pokuveski or some of the other players on the OKC side, but that's going to be dependent on some injuries. So that's it. Small forward, it's really top heavy with above 7,000 is loaded. Power forward, you have Sabonis, 9,000. I'd like him at that price tag. Without Giannis, that's just such a better spot. Now he's going to have to go up against like Lopez and Bobby Portis. So great spot for Sabonis compared to going up against Giannis. Then you have Hayward. You can play a power forward. Don't mind that. We have some cheap plays here at this position with guys that will probably start in place of Giannis, whether that's PJ Tucker. I don't want to play. I'd rather go to Bobby Portis at $4,100. So Bobby Portis is a cheap play that I like a lot. And then you can definitely pay up for like a Gordon Hayward at $7,400, or look in the mid range for maybe a Kelvin Johnson at $5,900, or one of those, or one of the cheaper plays like Bridges, $4,900. We'll see some bigger minutes tonight without Zeller and without Ball. But for me, it's going to be Bobby Portis. I expect him to, even if he doesn't start, he should get a lot more minutes off the bench, and he's a guy that is a great per minute producer when he's given those extra minutes, like well over a point per minute on the season. Without Giannis, he should do great things. At center, you have top end with Cat. If you wanted to go to him, it's a great spot against the Thunder. You have Sabonis at 9,000. You have Christian Wood. If he said he was on a limit, he played 36, so it wasn't really limited at all. Against OKC yesterday, it's a back-to-back. But if there's no Oladipo and they don't really say anything about a limit, then I would expect him to play a similar amount. He will look like a great play at only $8,000. And then we have some cheaper plays here, $5,100 for Zubats. There is no Serge Ibaka tonight. Zubats looks like a nice cheap center that we can look to. And that's pretty much it. Do you have a cheap cheap price tags on like Capella at 7,300, but Capella is just not getting a ton of minutes. 23, 26, like they can play John Collins at center, and now that Gallo is really playing well, it's tough to split those minutes between Gallo, Collins, and Capella. Moving on to guard, I am going to plug in Devontae Graham here. 48, just way too cheap. And then at forward, it's going to be Jaylen Brown. Love the spot for him. Love the price tag without Kemba. And then possibly still without Thompson. Not that that matters too much, but a little bit more rebounds to go for Jaylen Brown. And that's pretty much it. So it leaves you 58-50. I love all 6 of these plays tonight. So don't expect much to change from the core, but could see some, depending on other news we get. Unless Giannis happens to play tonight, which I do not expect. But that's pretty much it for the DK side. Let's go over to FanDuel. All right, over on FanDuel here, looking at the point guard options, it starts with De'Aaron Fox, $8,900. I like Trae Young at that price at 87, and then the position falls off a little bit to John Wall, DeJounte, Kyle Lowry in the 7K range. I like John Wall a lot at that price tag. I like Trae Young, 87. I like Fox, obviously. I always like Fox. And then in the 6K range, it's definitely Jrue Holiday at $6,800. Looks like a smash play without Giannis. You have some cheap plays. If you wanted to look to Derek White at 52 or Clarkson is 46, but I don't want to play him with Conley and all those other guys in. And then if you wanted to punt with a spot, I don't see really anybody here. Reggie Jackson would be the guy, but you can do way better on this type of slate. Pay up a bit, pay for John Wall, pay for Trae Young or Fox. It's going to be John Wall, though, I start with. Actually, it's going to be Holiday. $6,800. Shooting guard, I like DeMar DeRozan, $8,900. You can look to Anthony Edwards. His price tag is jumping up a little bit, but he's still been absolutely smashing at $7,700. Probably won't get that much ownership on FanDuel, looking at some of these other guys that are more expensive than him. So I don't mind Edwards. I love DeRozan at that price tag. You can look to Paul George, $8,200. And then you have cheap plays here. You have Halliburton is only 55. LeVert is 56. Marcus Smart is 5,000 flat. Should get a lot more point guard minutes without Kemba tonight. Then Devontae Graham is 43. We'll be playing some Devontae Graham tonight. He's just too cheap. Small forward, it's Jaylen Brown. Besides Kawhi, I love this 7K range. Jaylen Brown, Hayward, Middleton, even Kevin Porter, all looking like reasonable plays. If you wanted to go cheap, you have Gallo is 57. He's a little bit cheaper than he is on DraftKings. Keldon Johnson is sitting at only 5,400. He looks a little bit better than he does looks fine on both sides, but with Murray back, it's probably going to hurt him a little bit, but he's been playing a lot better recently. And then Cedi Osman, fresh off of his big game, is 737. Looks fine. You have Daniel House at 38 if you wanted to take a shot with him. But the 7K range is just super loaded. I will not be avoiding that. Middleton, 7,000. Play him and Holiday together. Power forward, it's Sabonis, Tatum at the top. Both guys look appealing. I don't think I'll have John Collins at that price tag. Probably won't have Thaddeus Young or Christian Wood. I do like him at 8,100. Probably like him more than Siakam. And then you have some guys out here. Then you have some value with a Tice at 45. Definitely have value with a Bobby Portis at 3,700. So, and then you have Marcus Morris at 3,700 as well. But Portis, expect him to benefit a lot without Giannis. Even if he comes off the bench, I will still be high on him. And then center plays, it's Towns at the top. It's a value play cheaper play in like Capella in the 7K range, who I do like. For value, it's Jared Allen at 67 going up against the Kings, who give up the most points in the paint this season. And then for the cheap play, it's definitely Zubac. Should see a lot of minutes tonight. He played 34, 35, and then only played 24. That game was out of hand late. So he didn't even have to play fourth quarter at all. But he's been probably expect 34, 35 minutes from him tonight. He's a good producer when he's out there and can get you some blocks and steals as well. FanDuel continues not to price guys up when other guys are out. Zubac's been out. Zubac's been starting for the last couple days with Surge out, and they still have him priced at 4,500, the same price tag he's been. So definitely want to jump on that, especially against a big Atlanta team. So that's it for this one. This slate is looking fun. It should be super high scoring, but we'll see what happens. So thanks for watching. Best of luck tonight, and see y'all next time.